Spirit Quest, a novel by Levi Sweeney, read by the author. Chapter 5. In the dormitories of St. Benedict's homeless shelter of New Tianjin, at room 4U911, 20 male transients were crammed into bunk beds. That night, they were all snoring comfortably, some of them sleeping off alcohol. Hank was on a top bunk, Envo was on a bottom bunk. When I got to New Tianjin by hovercar, I tried to get a hotel, but planetary statute says you need to be 21 to book a room. They don't arrest people for public intoxication in New Tianjin, and they don't prosecute people for shoplifting, but they do enforce legal age limits on hotel bookings. So I went to this hostel, St. Benedict's homeless shelter of New Tianjin. There's a chain of them all over the raw system. Christian charity is still healthy or thriving, even in the year 66. That night, I was in the bunk across from Hank. I parked my hovercar in an empty lot a block away. It was gone the next morning. I will always miss that hovercar. Uncle Oscar and I spent a lot of weekend afternoons tinkering with that hovercar's engine. It cruised like a dream. Regarding Envo, one thing I do know about him, based on our scattered conversations, was that he had been institutionalized twice. Some people say that greenies are born crazy, but I sometimes think that the greenies were always sane, while all the humans were totally demented. At any rate, Envo was a master escape artist. Poor old Envo, he could get into and out of any kind of trouble in the world. Almost. Envo was, if nothing else, a survivor. Some people say that all greenies are either born lucky or we're all just lucky to be born. I think it's both. I remember hearing Hank talking in his sleep. He said something like, "Ah, what a comfortable bed. Nicest hostel I've ever been to. Gotta love 'em Catholics." I also remember Envo talking in his sleep. He said something like, No, can't sleep. Need drink to sleep. Mother, help. No, please, don't hurt me. Help, Mother. Hank then said, "Keep quiet and stay in your bunk, Envo. It'll be morning soon." Hank yawned. Envo said something like, "Don't hurt me. Please, help me, Mother." Suddenly, the dim electronic klaxon of a fire alarm began to reverberate through the entire dormitory. The LED lights suddenly turned on, lighting up the room. I felt myself waking up from a slumbering stupor. I had been sleeping pretty soundly. It had been a long day. "Alert! Alert!" said the robotic, vaguely female voice coming from the PA system. "There is a fire in the building. All occupants please calmly leave the building through the nearest emergency exit." "Fire! Fire!" said one of the vagrants who was in the room. "Everybody wake up. We need to get out of here now." "Come on, guys, wake up," said a second vagrant. "Y'all want to be burned alive?" The inhabitants of the dormitory, sleeping, confused, grumbling, and mumbling, all got out of their bunks and began shuffling into the hallway of the dormitory, bleary-eyed and passive. Nobody seemed to be in much of a hurry to escape the shelter. I found myself in the crowd in the dormitory hallway next to Hank Madaris. It's probably just a fire drill," said Hank, pulling up the hood of his polyester yellow jacket. "I don't think they do fire drills in the middle of the night at a homeless shelter," I replied crisply. "Did I sound like I was asking you, Squirt?" said Hank to me. "Sound like you were asking somebody, you jerk," I said. We were shoulder to shoulder in the midst of the sleepy crowd. "Whatever," said Hank. "Let's get out of here." Then his eyes widened, and he seemed to become fully awake. "Wait, where's Envo?" he said. The unmistakable voice of a greenie, with a lilting accent and a lisp which resembled the feedback of a mobile phone with a bad connection, dimly registered in my ears. "Oh, don't leave me, Mr. Hank." "Envo?" said Hank, roughly turning around to get a look at Envo, and I involuntarily turned in the same direction. "Sweet spirit to us," said Hank, calling out to Envo, who was still in our dorm room. "You need to get out of your bed. There could be a fire going on." "Help! Help! Fire!" said Envo, even though there was no fire in our dorm room. My more humane instincts kicked into action, and I said, "Oh, for the love of... Here, let's get that old soak." Hank and I shouldered our way in the opposite direction as the rest of the crowd entered the dorm room and grabbed a screaming Envo by the arms, dragging him out of the bed by force. "Come on, Envo," said Hank. The two of us dragged Envo, who kicked and screamed all the way out of the dorm, down the stairs, and out into the sidewalk, bordering the dark street outside of the homeless shelter. This is Spirit Quest, a novel by Levi Sweeney, read by the author. You have been listening to Chapter 5. Thank you.